facility. When I saw the post, my hands trembled so hard I could barely hold my phone. There it was, a smiling picture of my daughter-in-law captioned, "Some people just don't know when their time is up. Living under my roof and still acting like they own the place." Thousands of likes. Dozens of comments. And one heartbroken mother-in-law staring at the screen, realizing she'd become a joke on social media. "My name is Margaret, I'm 64, and I never thought my life would turn into something like this. After my husband passed away 3 years ago, I sold our countryside home and used the money to buy a larger one near the city. I wanted to be close to my son, Adam, and his wife, Clara. They were newly married then, and I adored her. Facility, she was bright, ambitious, and always smiling, at least, she used to be. When they struggled to afford a place of their own, I offered to let them stay with me. I thought it would be temporary, a year at most. But years passed, and things began to change. At first, Clara was polite, even sweet. She'd cook sometimes, ask me about my day, and we'd watch movies together. But once she got a promotion and started working from home, the tone shifted. Suddenly, facility, too loud, too traditional, too much in her space. She began closing the door when I passed by and whispering on the phone. I told myself not to make assumptions, that she was probably stressed. But one evening, I overheard her telling a friend, "It's exhausting having her here all the time. I can't even relax in my house." Her house. That phrase stayed with me. I didn't say anything, not then. Facility. I just quietly walked back to my room and stared at the photo of my late husband on the nightstand. He'd always say, "Home is where respect lives." That night, I realized my home had lost its respect. Weeks later, Adam came home from work, and I noticed how distant he'd become too. He rarely sat with me, always on his phone, distracted. When I asked if something was wrong, he just said, "Clara feels uncomfortable sometimes, Mom. Maybe give her some space." I nodded, hiding the sting behind a practiced smile. "Of course, dear, I understand." But deep down, I knew something was breaking, not just between me and my daughter-in-law, but between me and my own son. Then came the Facebook post. I remember sitting on the couch, scrolling aimlessly when it popped up on my feed. A photo of Clara standing in my kitchen, holding a mug that said, "Queen of the Castle." Her caption was what broke me. "Living with the previous owner of the house is a challenge. Some people just can't let go." Hundreds of laughing emojis. And among the comments, "Sility." I saw Adam's. A single, it felt like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed my heart until it shattered. I didn't cry that night. Not right away. I sat in silence, thinking about all the years I'd worked, saved, and sacrificed for my family. I thought about how many nights I'd gone without sleep when Adam was sick, how I'd skipped buying things for myself so he could have what he needed. And now I was the previous owner. When the tears finally came, they didn't stop for hours. But pain has a strange way of turning into clarity. And by morning, I knew what I had to do. I called my lawyer. It took less than a week for the paperwork to go through. The house, which was still in my name, was officially listed for sale. I didn't tell anyone, not even Adam. When the real estate agent came by for the photos, Clara was in the living room on a work call. She barely looked up, assuming it was one of my friends visiting again. I smiled politely and went along with the inspection. 2 weeks later, I signed the final papers. The house was sold. When I told them over dinner, the silence was deafening. "What do you mean you sold it?" Clara asked, her voice trembling. I said softly, "I sold the house. The new owners will be moving in next month." "But where are we supposed to go?" She snapped, her calm facade slipping. I looked at Adam, who sat there, pale and stunned. "You're both adults," I said. "I'm sure you'll figure it out. It's time you had a place of your own." Clara stood up, furious. "You can't just." "I can." I interrupted gently. "Because despite what your Facebook says, Liddy, this was never your house." Adam tried to mediate, but I could see the truth in his eyes. He knew I was right. For years, Liddy, I'd been the quiet foundation holding that household together, and they'd taken it for granted. The night before I moved out, I walked through every room one last time. The echoes of laughter, the scent of Sunday dinners, my husband's favorite chair, all memories now. But for the first time in a long while, I felt peace. I found a small apartment on the outskirts of town. Cozy, quiet mine. I started volunteering at a local library and even made new friends. It wasn't the life I had imagined, but it was one built on self-respect. Months later, Adam came to visit. Alone. He looked tired, older somehow. "Mom," he said, "we had to move into a rental. Clara's been different since the house thing." I think she finally realized what she did. I smiled faintly. Sometimes we don't appreciate something until it's gone. He nodded, facility, eyes full of regret. "I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you." I took his hand. "You don't owe me an apology, son. Just make sure you never let anyone make you forget where you came from." As he left, I watched from the window. Proud, a little sad, but free. People often think revenge is about getting even. But for me, it wasn't revenge. It was about reclaiming dignity. The house, the money, those were just things. What mattered was remembering who I was, a woman who had built her life with love, patience, and strength. And if my story teaches anything, it's this. Never let anyone make you feel like a guest in your own life. Because sometimes walking away isn't losing. It's finally winning on your own terms.